Howdy folks, it's Johan, favorite little ink blob. We are doing something a little out of the norm today, but I was really hoping this morning, that we could push to the top. So we're here in the evening, when probably no one will show up, trying to push a little further, because I really want to get to the end, and I want to share that with the normal morning folks, but also it's taking a real long time, so I want to get some reps in at the very least. Even if we don't actually make it, I feel like doing this when we aren't going to. The only thing that I need to do after this is get some rest and, you know, like maybe take a break if this is getting too much. So this is something where we just kind of have the freedom to do what we need to do, low pressure. We're not cutting into Baba time, Hollow Knight time. This is just us doing our thing. The ice ambiance is quite peaceful, which I think makes the contrast from falling from the top of the tower all the way down here. I mean, not really all the way, but from tower's epic music down to the ice is a little abrupt. Ah! But yeah, so we're gonna get our reps in. As we found this morning, when I'm not doing that, we can get from bottom of chapel to end of ice in about a minute, give or take. So we gotta dial in that last jump on ice, because that kind of screws us up. And then crush the tower. And, you know, if people can do... We have folks in chat who can do it in 11 minutes, so... we should be able to do it right quick. Wah-hey. Zippity-doo-dah. Zippity-day. See, we zoom in. Wow. Oh no, I haven't had anything super eventful after stream today. Just did a fair bit of website work, because there are some folks I'm helping out with a cool website for a cool project, which I guess I probably shouldn't talk too much about because, you know, potentially personally identifiable stuff, but yeah, so that's kind of been... My day has been screaming at WordPress, in particular WP Forms, because I am someone... I do web dev, just sort of on the side as a hobby thing, volunteer thing. And I've done a fair bit of WordPress, but it's been like a year and a half since I touched it, and now there's the whole like Gutenberg update, which is bleh. I don't know what it hopes to accomplish. Like, the block editors are fine, but there's a lot of features that seem to have been made worse, in my opinion. Maybe that's just me being grumpy old Johan. But I don't know, just use the classic editor. Well, I would, but some of the features have sort of been changed alongside Gutenberg, so that's my complaint is not purely about Gutenberg. I feel like the Gutenberg aspect itself is kind of fine. This is probably completely irrelevant to the vast majority of people watching, but yeah. So, retrospective on this game. I mean, that might be premature since, you know, we haven't beaten it yet, but what has it been like? You know, so I think I've mentioned that what I would probably call my first real platformer that I've played for any length of time was Getting Over It, which I spent about 5-6 hours on, like 5 or 6 years ago, and got very frustrated, got kind of stuck in one spot, and tried that over the course of several days, and just could not get past it, got completely frustrated, and put it down for several years. During those several years, I had a lot of sort of big life events, some pretty significant changes where I was doing a lot of work on myself, and at the end of that, a couple months ago, I came back and I took a shot at it, and in like 2 hours, I had already made it further by like 1 or 2 areas. biomes, I suppose, than I had my first time in 5 hours. So I just sort of took it little by little, accepting, each sort of little personal best, each little victory for what it was. Whoa, too far. And just trying to make sure that I was taking care of myself between each thing. Sometimes I would fall, all that good stuff. That's part of the game. And I got there in about, I think, I forget the exact time, but it was not more than 8 hours. I want to say it was actually probably close to another, 5 or 6 hours, but do not recall exactly. But that was genuinely a really good experience. I've heard a lot of people that don't really like the voiceover aspect of the game, but I thought that was really fantastic because it was telling a lot about sort of why it got made, which I think gave me a lot of ideas about sort of, well, why am I playing it? Because it is a frustrating game. You are never secure in your progress, and it's something where there's a lot of times where you lose all of that progress. But you just sort of have to think, did I lose that progress, or is that, is it wasted time, which I think is a great way to turn it into a rage game, or is it, I have learned from this process, and so I've leveled up in that way. And, I got there, and that was genuinely for me a very impactful experience because the sort of stark contrast between where I was a few years back to this time around was huge. And as a result, I think that's part of why Jump King really interested me. Because Jump King has, I think, a very similar element in that you can always fall pretty much right back down to the beginning. I know we're at the chapel, so funnily enough, we are at a point where we can't. But there's still always that sort of risk to it. And, even here, while we can't fall back down below the chapel, unless we try, which we did. We went all the way back, down to the bottom, because we wanted to get the shoes and went, screw it, might as well. And that, I think, was also a fairly empowering experience, because I chose to reset myself, and guess what? When it took 43 hours to get up to the chapel the first time, it took me 1 hour and 10, I believe, get back up to it the second time. So, huge improvement. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop! So, I was really interested in taking a crack at Jump King because I had seen people play little bits and pieces before. The only thing that I ever actually remembered was the last bit, getting to the babe at the top. So that bit I'm marginally familiar with. Whoop. So, don't be too surprised if that's the one point that I seem to actually recognize. Okay. Well, hey. And it looked interesting to me. It had a similar energy. Uh-oh. There we go. Had a very similar energy, right? Of, you reset that progress. So for me, I think this is certainly the first one I've spent more than 10 hours on, and I genuinely think Getting Over It is the first platformer that I've really played. And I know this is not necessarily like the oh god. took my finger off to itch my nose, and look what happens. So I know that this isn't really the standard type of platformer per se. They sort of have a unique component in the degree to which you can get reset. But it really speaks to me because I am someone who spent a lot of my childhood and a lot of my young adult life not making mistakes. Not to say that I didn't make mistakes, but I tried very hard to avoid making them, and by and large, I got away making very few. Now, people will tell you, everyone makes mistakes, you kind of gotta. And it's true, I did make some, but do you know a really good way to avoid making mistakes? Simply don't do things. And I think that has characterized a fair bit of who I have been as a person. I've done things, but a lot of times when given the choice between putting out a little extra effort to try and make something happen that I was interested in, which is sometimes tough because I will say I think I've talked a little bit. I am someone who does get I do deal with a non-zero amount of depression, which for me typically manifests as something along the lines of anhedonia. So just kind of don't enjoy stuff that I know I should enjoy or that I used to enjoy. So, you know, when you've not really got that like strong enjoyment factor out of stuff, it gets really easy to just sort of say no to things and not do a lot. And that didn't used to actually be as big of a problem for me because I just sort of forced myself to say yes, but then I realized, oh wait, no, it's okay to say no sometimes. And I think that was healthy for me to realize at first because I pushed myself way too much. I pushed myself way too much to do things that I felt I should do rather than things that were necessarily a good idea. And then I have kind of hit a point where it got really easy to say no, particularly with the pandemic, because I am in a living situation where there are some folks that are very near and dear to me that, while I know the rest of the world seems to have kind of moved on, they can't really just kind of pretend that everything's okay. COVID is still out there. COVID is still messing up folks' lives, and while I would probably personally be fine if I got it and brought it home, those people probably would not be around anymore. So when you're basically having to treat the rest of the world like it is full of, deadly poison if you breathe it in too much, because, you know, as great as an N95 mask is, the 95 is 95% filtration, at least for the level of particulate that, you're concerned about with COVID, best of my knowledge. You're still getting some amount of it. And there haven't been studies on exactly how much it takes to get sick. So, you know, you're kind of flying blind with that. So, long story short, got very easy to say no to doing things, to trying new things, to pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And that's also a really great way to play into your perfectionism and your fear of failure. So getting over it, I think, was really fantastic for me because that was a great sort of exercise in seeing how far I had developed. And Jump King appealed to me because it's a sort of similar thing. It is letting me take a whack at practicing the ability to try something, try really hard, and fail over and over and over again for 51 hours and counting. But I'm making progress. Can I repeat that sentence? Hey, Impact, nice to see ya. Basically, Jump King is something that appealed to me because it is a game where you get to experience trying really hard to achieve something over and over again and fail. But you're slowly taking on more and more lessons, so it gets easier and easier. Because I dropped all the way back down to the very beginning and was able to do it in like an hour and 10 minutes to get back up to the chapel when it took me 43 hours the first time. That, I think, is a huge, huge example of essentially the amount of growth that we've done. And, you know, it's a silly little microcosm, but I think it's fantastic exactly for that. It's a wonderful, simple, low-stakes way to experience striving and failing. Yeah. Well, hey, how's it going, Impact? Whoa-hey. Oh, damn. We jump up. Doop, doop, doop. And over. Damn. Good, just tried and failed to untie your shoe for 10 minutes. Interesting, so you're having your own little Jump King moment. You know, I think that may actually be a fantastic example of me not doing a particularly great job of trying things. Oh, you finished? Good job! Well then, hopefully I too will finish soon. But no, when I was very young, I wore Velcro shoes, and I wore my like first pair of shoes that I'm familiar with. I wore those until they were actually apparently stunting some of the bone growth in my feet because I didn't want to change pairs. And for years, folks tried to get me to wear lace-up shoes, but I didn't know how to tie the knots, and that intimidated me, so I just sort of rejected it, and even nowadays, I wear slip-on shoes. Now, I am capable of tying knots at this point, and in fact, enjoy tying knots, but it's still, I've got like some weird texture things with it that make it an actually good choice for me, but the initial reason was I didn't know how to tie my shoes, so rather than struggling with that, I went, nope, I'm just not gonna tie shoes. Why bother with that? So, yeah. Working, showing growth. Sitting down to play Total War Napoleon. Fun. I've never actually played one. Oh, fantastic. I've never actually played one of the Total War series. It's a game franchise that I'm familiar with because they sponsor Extra History a lot, which is a show I enjoy, but I've never actually touched one of the games, but I'm of the understanding that they're some sort of strategy game. I'm not sure if they're even like real-time strategy or turn-based, but they sound interesting. I'm always a sucker for cool historical stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Oh, just a little too far. TBS. Wait, hold up. TBS from the overworld, RTS. Oh, okay, so turn-based for the overworld, RTS once again. Okay, so you get to carefully plot out how you're going to maneuver your troops in a turn-based format, and then you get into a fight and let's go? Interesting. Blending those styles sounds like it would make for an intriguing experience. I'm trying to think of anything else that does something along those lines. Oh, bonk. That's a good game? Yeah. So I may have to check that out. I do enjoy that. I enjoy that style of game. Although, man, I've not played... The only Civ game, I know that I would probably love Civilization, but I've only I've only ever really played Civilization 3. Was the only one that I ever sunk a lot of time into, and I still barely understood all of the mechanics going on in that, so, Civ 6, which a number of folks I know play, never had a chance. Can answer any Napoleon questions if this happens to be the Total War game that I pick up. Alright, good to know. I actually fell asleep watching Oversimplified's Napoleonic Wars last night. I don't know an awful lot about French history. It's funny, I've gotten to the point where while I'm generally aware of European history, I feel like I know a fair bit more about, like, other chunks of the world because it tends to interest me more. Well, I guess Irish history is European history, but they weren't really taking a huge role on the world stage, you know? It's a little more niche. Yeah, I don't know why. I think part of why European history kinda I'm less keen on, I suspect, is because it's sort of more what you do get taught. Irish history is Irish history, not European history, in your opinion. I think that's fair. Like, it is part of Europe, it's just, you know, Ireland's role in the sort of grand European stage is essentially always as part of Great Britain. You know, you've got a lot of like civil history and civil conflict in Ireland up until like 1917. You know, and then they declare independence, but even then they're usually operating in a somewhat similar capacity to England, although I am a really huge fan of the fact that Ireland has basically said we refuse to occupy any foreign nations because we were occupied for so long. The French tried to liberate Ireland during the Napoleonic Wars. That, I have vague recollections of this because of a report that I did in high school with some folks where we had to connect various, no, it wasn't Ireland. I know that they helped out with Scotland. That was it. Dubs Alley, been enjoying the Fall Guys content. Any chance I'll play Jump King soon? Very nice. Welcome in, Dubs. How are you doing? Yep. I was like, wait, I haven't played Fall Guys. Yep. Hey, we're taking a good crack at it. This is our first time playing Jump King. Well, not the first session, but our first playthrough of it, and essentially first platformer I've done. So we're having fun, having a good time, even if there's a lot of falling. No, then I guess I'm not aware of Napoleonic intervention in Irish independence. That is not something I'd heard of. I know that they helped out during the like Jacobin uprisings, but don't feel bad. Just turn your phone upside down and now I'm speedrunning. Hey, nice. I do appreciate this. Seems to be. Is this out of curiosity? Do you just like go around to various Jump King streams and just have this like same thing laid out? Because there's another person that comes in here like every couple of weeks and has a similar sort of like stand-up routine. Make your rounds, all right. Well, I feel honored to be part of that. I normally stream this earlier, so probably haven't been honored before. You're the Jump King troll. Got the lines ready to roll. Nice. It's good to have a thing. It's good to have a thing. Bump bump bump. Think like most of the area I'm feeling pretty good. Like tower, I definitely need to practice more, but it's that last jump in ice. Once I get the last jump in ice locked in, I feel like I'll really be able to focus on the tower, but until then, keep turning that phone upside down if you want to see good gameplay. Womp womp womp. Man, you know, I need to go back and try and learn Gaelic again. Or not Gaelic, because Gaelic is Scottish. Gaelic is Irish is a Gaelic language, but is not itself Gaelic, something along those lines. I should do that. It's a very pretty language, and there's a lot of very good music in it. Imagine Jump King where your goal is to get down, but they add fall damage. Oh dear god. So the when you go splat, but you can't go splat too much, that would be tough. I mean, just genuinely going down, but not allowing yourself to like fall and having to actually do controlled jumps, that would require such sort of different muscle memory. You'd be unlearning things. Man. I really enjoy games that take simple concepts and just sort of tweak you slightly. I've always thought that's a very interesting exploration. I mean, like Jump King in a lot of ways, it's a platformer with the difference being, oh hey, your controls are hostile to you in a very particular way. They are refusing to play by the rules of other things. Which, I mean, I genuinely find that an interesting premise. So something that's just slightly tweaking what you've gotten used to in Jump King, I think would be mighty interesting. Damn. One of these days. I think people have recommended trying to like backwards jump on that. I feel like if most of the time, I'm not even in a position to do a jump from there. But yeah, forcing yourself to sort of go downhill would be quite wonky. I think I would love a, like, 2D side-scroller where you were only ever allowed to move left or right, just one direction, and have it be a choice. And have two different but intertwining stories based on the direction you moved. I don't know, it's one of, I've got a lot of concepts that like I think about sometimes, but I've never really fleshed out. But I would love to see something along those lines where most games, you at the very least have basically 2 dimensions of movement, right? If nothing else, you can move to the left and, or not 2 dimensions, but 2 directions. You can move forward and back along whatever dimension you're allowed to move in, at the very least. But I think one where, really and truly, you're only allowed to move in one direction. You can move forward, but you cannot move back. I think could create some... I think that could create some interesting storytelling implications. I'm not sure how that would work for actual, like, gameplay and puzzle interactions. Because I feel like that severely limits it, but I don't know, it's one that I think could create something somewhat impactful of one single decision that forces you on a path, and then you play through it twice, you get to see sort of what each offers and get to understand the alternatives. I think could be quite interesting. But, you know, maybe it's a false dichotomy. I still... game that had a very big impact on little baby Johann was Myst, where you're collecting the blue pages, bring me the blue pages. No, the red pages, the red pages. And turns out that whichever ones you deliver, you get put into the book of whoever's telling you. There are 2 guys, one is trapped in the red book and one is trapped in the blue book, and they each, you know, tell you different information. Whoever you choose traps you and just swaps. So it's like, oh, these were both terrible ideas. I should not have done either. And there's a secret 3rd option. So, you know, maybe it's something like that. But, you know, I guess that's sort of an overly... I feel like that has been played out as a storytelling mechanism quite a few times, but one where it's truly two different endings based on which direction you chose, and you get to see sort of mirrored events. I could see that being interesting. You could also see that being absolutely terrible and boring, but at some point gotta actually sit down, try and make it a thing, and see what happens with it. But no, I don't know. I think oftentimes simple concepts make for some very interesting games. Jump King is climb up, and your controls are wonky. And we've gotten almost 52 hours out of it, and I've genuinely enjoyed not every minute of it, but quite a bit of it. And I think of, like, Journey, which, fantastic game, might stream at some point. Although Journey is a game that I've played essentially to the point of I have completed everything, so it would just sort of be I feel like playing Journey today, I feel like going on a journey. I wouldn't have a particular goal in mind, but it is a game where your goal is to get to a mountain, and guess what? It was super impactful. You know, the motion isn't even that spectacular, it's just visually stunning, with in my opinion, really well done sort of visual narrative. And it's amazing what it accomplishes. I'd say probably like a 2-hour experience. And it is a game that I've put far more than 2 hours into. Dredge, I guess, has a little bit more complexity to it, but I mean, you is boat. You fish. Lovecraft would be proud. But I don't know. I feel like I don't play a lot of like AAA games, but I do watch other folks play them, and I feel like a lot of times, for all of the content that they try and pack in, a lot of it becomes sort of trite and repetitive. Whereas a lot of smaller games that aren't going for as long of an experience manage to pack so much more into what is supposed to be so much less. And I think that's quite beautiful. And, you know, maybe I have a particular propensity for that, because if you can't tell, I talk a lot, and I'm very bad at self-editing. So I think I find a lot of beauty in simplicity and elegance because it's something that I suck at achieving myself. Okay, another crack at the tower. Dun 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 dun. Feel like we've done that a few times. Also, hold on one moment. My lovely computer nightlight has come on, so just want to make sure that I can actually see my screen properly. Ah, the lights! They're back. I don't think that shows up in the streaming because I believe that's just a local setting, but that has to do with how the display is actually going. I don't know though. I'll need to check the recording and see if it suddenly gets less orange. It is funny. Streaming does give you, it forces you to understand a bit better the different layers of what's going on with your computer. You don't need to have a deep understanding, but just like getting a basic idea of like, well, okay, so why can't I record the audio this way that I want to? Well, it's because computers tend to just sort of lump audio tracks together, but you can do, you know, virtual audio cables, which I have not bothered with, but early on, it's convenient. OBS has added a like record game audio functionality, but even then there's some games it doesn't work for, and it can get to be kind of a mess. But, you know, up until that point, I hadn't really ever thought about how audio from one thing gets into my ears, particularly when there's audio from two different things going. The choral music is quite peaceful. I think I've mentioned this before. I do find it very funny that the chapel in Jump King is something that I actually find like very peaceful and soothing, because typically this type of architecture and vibe makes me feel deeply uncomfortable. Okay, full jump, little jump, bigger jump. There we go. Full jump, medium. Not medium enough. Supposed to, which honestly find cool. Yeah. Or sorry, when you say it's supposed to, you're saying that it's supposed to be calming, or it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable? Because I know that a lot of like Western style churches are, my understanding is that they are designed to make you feel uncomfortable as sort of a, you are meant to feel small in comparison to what you're here to worship. I think the quiet awe of the enormity of a cathedral is supposed to make you a little uncomfortable. Yeah, no, and that's, I've definitely come across that, which I don't know, and it's impressive. It's architecturally impressive, and never let it be said that I knock on the designers of these things, because I think it is fantastic. That said, I tend to vibe a lot more with sort of small, cozy forms. Like, I'm not a very religious person, but sort of small and cozy forms of worship tend to vibe a lot better with me. Things that are doing a lot of like woodwork and whatnot tend to feel a lot happier to me, and like, yeah, a little bit of flame. I've been far happier in synagogues and like Islamic cultural centers I've been to. I haven't been to an actual mosque. I would like to go at some point. But I don't know, those tend to make me feel a lot comfier and happier. Graveyards are so peaceful, that I agree with. There was actually, when I went to college, there was a graveyard that was in the town I was going to, directly across from a fast food restaurant, which was kind of funny, but I genuinely really enjoyed it because it was a very old graveyard from some of the first folks that had come and settled down in that place. No, to be clear, non-native peoples that had settled in that place. But I don't know, it was very, love you a graveyard next to a beautiful church, and I think those are quite lovely, but I kind of love how silly this little graveyard was in the parking lot of a giant, like, bulk goods store right across from a little fast food chain restaurant. but it had this lovely, gnarly old like oak tree that overhung between it, and a lovely little wrought iron gate. You weren't allowed in because there'd been some vandalism to it. But it's just like, it was very peaceful to just sort of stand out there and look at it. And then there were 2 other graveyards within, I wouldn't say reasonable walking distance, but I'm someone who enjoys walking, so within my walking distance that I enjoyed visiting. But yeah, no, that's, I have absolutely had study sessions where I was just chilling in a graveyard, because they're nice. Which I find very funny, because I am someone who has a fairly strong fear of death. Like, existentially, it fills me with dread to consider death. But I don't know, it is comforting that so many other people have gone through it. which might be a sort of weird and possibly horrific thing to say, but it's very comforting being around the sort of memorials to other folks who have lived a life. Ever been in a charnel house? I do not believe so. A charnel house being sort of where they kept the remains of paupers temporarily, or am I misremembering what a charnel house would be? Hold on, charnel house. Charnel house. Building or vault in which corpses or bones are piled. Okay. Oh, so more, hey, we're kind of overwhelmed right now, so we're gonna stick them here for a little bit. I have not, but I don't know how I would feel about that. I don't know if that would have the same vibes or be much more unsettling. I do think I haven't visited a lot of places that like are widely considered haunted, and I think that would be an intriguing experience, because a lot of those places, whether I don't believe in the paranormal awfully much, but a lot of those places are historically quite interesting, with usually some kind of sad history. Kinda. Visited one in a town called Hallstatt that was filled with skulls painted by the families of the deceased. It was lovely and sweet. That does sound lovely and sweet. Okay. And that's, I think the memory is an important part of the area's feeling that, right? Shorter jump. Okay. But I think the memory is sort of an important part of it feeling comfortable, because I have been to at least one place where a lot of lives had been lost, but there wasn't really a memorial to them, and that was a somewhat uncomfortable place to be in. It felt bad. But if there were memorials to it, I think that adds sort of a human touch to it. It moves it from being tragedy into something that is, I don't know if it's a triumph, but there's a sort of more community sense to it, of these people have been grieved, these people are mourned, and there's still something that comes after, which I think is sweet. Oh, no! I got the hard jump and then I just muffed it. Sad. Yeah, no, like, I don't know, energies of places has always been a very interesting thing to me, to like try and put a finger on. So I mean, like, talking about churches where, you know, they've got the sort of architecture designed to make you uncomfortable, I think is interesting, but places where it hasn't been intentionally manufactured, I also find very interesting. Because like there's a little stream tucked away in some bushes near where I live that unfortunately has been clear cut a bit because of some utility work, but I used to love just sort of sitting down there because it felt very liminal, is typically a word that I apply to a lot of places that I would consider to have good vibes. But it just sort of, it felt like if I were going to see some sort of fey creature or whatnot, it would probably be here. It would probably be a good time. But yeah, there are certainly some places where I guess for me, it feels like they have a lot more potential for interesting things to happen. And I like those a lot. And I find it very interesting to try and characterize why a given area feels that way. Because I can sort of force myself into a degree of that feeling. Damn. Again, usually sort of with this like sense of community. There was a very weird at my college. There was a weird little statue that was like depicting like Greek or Roman fresco style of art that was near one of the math buildings with no similar sort of architecture or decoration around it. The rest of it was like wrought iron plates that had graven formulas in them. So it was just like, why is this here? And it was on this like not very accessible corner of the campus, just sort of tucked out of sight. And the number of times where I passed by that and just tried to think about someone decided that this should be here. Someone commissioned someone to make this. Someone actually put it there. And it's been there. Who decided? Oh, sad. But like, who decided that? It feels so oddly out of place, but this was an intentional decision. And I don't know, I can sit there and I can ponder things. I can ponder things that I know people have had a hand in. And it creates a very sort of positive sense to me, and at least to me, a somewhat similar feeling to like being in a graveyard or being in one of these, what I would consider liminal places. It's just sort of, it's connection with an unknown that you know must exist. And so, you know, it's, I don't necessarily know who's buried in such and such grave, and I don't know who, you know, whose skull has been painted, but someone at some point cared enough to make this happen. And that brings to me a measure of comfort. Although, that does remind me, I recall seeing a post of someone who had sort of a similar feeling whenever they would visit one of their parents at the graveyard, because there was a plot nearby where they just noticed that no one ever brought them flowers, and that felt strange to them. So they decided to bring flowers very frequently when they visited this grave, but, you know, sometimes, not all the time, you know, it still isn't their relative, they don't know them, but made an effort. And then, at one point they went, you know, I don't know who this person is, I should look them up just in case, and it turned out that it was a man who had murdered his entire family, which perhaps explained why there was no one bringing flowers. So, embarrassed, he went and found where the guy's wife had been buried and brought her flowers, which very awkwardly coincided with when, I believe it was her daughter. Oh, okay, if we can make that happen, maybe that's just easier. I believe it was her daughter had brought some flowers, and apparently, long story short, that was how he met his wife. But, you know, it's, as much as it can be fun and enjoyable to project onto these people, we don't know them. So, okay, that was too much, so we'll work on that a bit more. But, you know, you don't know them, so it is all in your head, but, you know, I don't think that's the norm when you get that feeling. I do wish there was a word for it. I've seen a number of posts that love to like, oh, you know, here's a lovely word in this language that describes X super specific thing, and there are a number of those where I've been able to verify them. There's a lot where I cannot verify them to the point where I feel comfortable enough to necessarily integrate them into my vocabulary, but I would love if there was a word out there for describing that sort of feeling of camaraderie with someone that, who knows whether or not they existed, Wow, that worked so well that one time, and I think it's probably just a bad way of doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I would love a word that can encapsulate that feeling. Because I also sometimes get that of just like looking out my window at the cars passing by and recognizing, oh, all of those people have lives. Like full and complete lives. Which I don't know, it can be a lot to try and actually sit there and wrap your head around, which is fun. I think that's very sweet. Boom, 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 boom. Ah. Philosophy during Jump King. It's honestly a good time. Just babble about what things come to mind. Whoa. It's funny, I mentioned cars passing outside my window, and then all of a sudden a bunch of cars passed by, which has me a little paranoid. I have trouble with that feeling a lot. Not sure other people are real. Oh, interesting. So for you, it's more of a, are other people fully fleshed out entities, or is it sort of along those lines of wondering whether or not they do? Okay, interesting. I'm trying to think if I don't know if I've ever really had that per se, even like people you're close with. There are definitely times where I might sound bad. There are definitely times where people just sort of escape my memory and attention, but I think that's a fairly different thing. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had the sense that those folks aren't real, but I can to a certain extent understand how that might happen, because it's really tough to wrap your head around other people being as complex as you. And that I'm not saying that trying to sound conceited, but I mean, genuinely, it is tough to remember everything that that you yourself have going on a lot of the time. And the human brain tends to work on heuristics, which I genuinely believe is a lot of why we see some of the degree of bigotry that we see. There are other reasons, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this one simple trick will solve all isms in the world. But I think that there is a lot of conflict that sort of develops from people not being able to see other folks as full people, and not being upset or even really thinking of that. It sounds like you, Impact, may be sort of cognizant of the fact that it's tough. I think that's something that a lot of people do experience, but just don't think about. But I mean, maybe that's unfair, because like for me, it's definitely something where I sometimes, when I'm arguing with someone, I sometimes forget that they've got a lot of other things going on. But it never really turns in, I never really get the, are they real? I guess, man, if I put myself back into when I was younger and allowed myself to sort of grapple a lot more with some existential questions of, like, the whole concept of like last Thursdayism of, was the universe made last Thursday, and are all of my memories up until then false? For me, like, at that point, there was definitely some element of like, are people real? But it sort of ultimately came down to, it doesn't matter. as long as they seem real enough in the moment, that's fine. But I guess that doesn't really address if you get the sense that they aren't. I don't know. When you say it's weird, I definitely don't think that's necessarily like dysfunctional. It's just it's not something I can personally relate to, which is interesting and neat. Because that's, at least to me, that I think is a lot of what makes people feel real, is the fact that people can describe experiences that I myself don't have, but at least seem fairly fleshed out and genuine. I think that's cool. I think that's a lot of what makes the world very neat. I think with games and such, with art, that's one of the things I really love, is when they can capture a feeling. And also, like, the concept of some feelings that are fairly universal that can sort of be tapped into. The concept of, like, semiotic ghosts, things that are existent in the collective consciousness of a culture. Woohoo! Okay, up and to the left. Ooh, okay. Where the hell do I go from here? I guess I probably go up there. Okay, and then up into... Oh, shoot! That was closer than I thought. I'm sure I can screw this up super easily, but... Oh, holy hell! All it took was being a bit philosophical. Holy shit. 52 hours and 2 minutes. Almost under that. Damn! Well, alright then. Feel like you've witnessed the end of an era, yeah. Damn! All it took was just a little bit of that evening chill, I guess. Yo! 52 hours before... Don't F up the last show. I know, I was just like, oh god. But I think we're here. But, damn. That's before I actually finish it. I mean, it's pretty. It's funny. I remember, so lower down there's the imp that says something, oh, you'll never reach the babe at the top. I was like, well, that's okay. I don't need to reach the babe. I just need to be up here. There's part of me that wants to exit out and just call this good because this is what I need. I don't care about the babe. But yo, that's, oh god, there is so much struggle that was involved in that, and here we are. That's fantastic. Okay, we get the cutscene. Oh my god, the crow! King of the Corvids! No. Oh dear. Oh, now we get to fly. I have some concerns. I don't think I've actually seen the cutscene before. Yup. First time beating it. Damn. Okay. 52 hours. Is that all? Huh. Okay. I also love that the cutscene at this point is there's not really motion to it. That's fantastic. Yo, screenshot? Yeah. We've gotten a better end screen without the shoes. Yeah, that's screenshot for the Discord. Yep, I will take a pic of it. I felt like getting the shoes because I had gotten the coins, but you know, it is what it is. And hey, I may come back and tackle it. I don't know. I'm still kind of feeling it. I might do like a little longer tonight and just sort of start from the beginning, see how quick I can go. I don't think I'll probably finish it again, but I'm curious. Oh god, the sneakers. Okay. Damn. That is an insane amount of time to get there, but that's genuinely really satisfying. That's super cool. So that was 52 hours, 3 minutes, and, you know, was sitting there waxing philosophical. That's huge. 44 sessions, dear lord. But yeah, that's, yeah, you know what? Well, I'm good. I'm gonna. I'll start a new one, just for a little bit, just for shits and giggles. But that's, yo. Oh hey, and oh, we've got the crown. But hey, let's unequip our shoes. Unequip. Haha. We'll keep the crown though. A crown. Wait. What a funny yellow hat! Of course, I see. Can you have it? I don't think we can give it to you. But man, that's I don't know entirely how to feel about that, honestly. Like how shiny the crown looks, it is quite nice. Shiny. God, it's been so long since we've been down here. But no, that's... I mean, we spent so long on that, but legitimately, huge amount of growth during that time. And I feel very... Uh-oh, we're back to our old ways. But no, I feel like I have learned a fair bit about myself in that process. I've had a lot of fun just sort of talking about stuff. That's super cool! Well, let's see. What's the next game? Good question. Did pick up some new stuff recently, thanks to a friend. I think the next morning game is probably going to be a difficult game about climbing. Sure, we've all had fun talking about stuff too. I'm glad. That's kind of the point. Damn. I remember first time through there, that took me probably a good 2-3 hours to get up to the giant drain. Or colossal drain. But yeah, I think a difficult game about climbing is probably going to be the sort of next morning one. I might try something else though, something that isn't like a platformer for the mornings, but I feel like platformers along these lines are probably kind of good for the waking up. I don't necessarily have to pay too much attention, but can still sort of be making progress. Once again, recommend Shattered Pixel Dungeon. It is on my radar. I have acquired a number of new things recently, so it will probably not be super soon if I do, because there's like 7 new things to get through, including like Omori, One Shot, Lingo. Lingo is going to be fun. That's going to be hopefully a good one for interspersing with Baba Is You. Do I try and get the crow again? Sure. Whoops. Oh well. Lingo I think is going to be good for interspersing with Baba and whatnot. I don't know, there's a number that are interesting. I might try Chants of Sonara in the mornings. I'm not super familiar with it, but it seems to be one that's about, like, figuring out an invented language, which seems very interesting. I can also see myself trying other Jump King levels and whatnot, but I don't know. We will see. I was planning on finishing it this morning, didn't happen, I went, oh, I'll try this, and who knows whether or not I will, and lo and behold. Also, 3 minutes through the Colossal Drain, yo. That, honestly, I wonder, it could be funny. I don't know if I have the mental wherewithal to sit down and do this, but it could be fun to try taking all of the first run of Jump King, like do a fairly quick run like this, and then speed match footage of all 52 hours of my first run through to this, and see the difference, see how many more laps I have to do on the first time. Because I mean, like this area alone, I think I probably spent around 15 hours in all told, which is kind of insane. Wahey! It's a victory lap. I mean, man, no, like, I recall, we've had folks in chat who can do this in, like, 11 minutes, which is insane. Look at them breeze through, yeah. I mean, like, you know, hitting a couple hiccups, but in comparison, damn. And that's... I think that's a fantastic example of, I remember people would say, like, oh, you know, you didn't make progress today. It's like, but I did! Because I got better. I've learned. Did I hit a new personal best? No. But, next time around, it's gonna be a lot easier. Well, hey. Just getting the crow. It's important. Should have backed up a bit. It's okay. Colossal Drain ain't that bad. That's a little worse. But, okay, I'm... hold on me. But no, like, you know, getting to the point where falling that far down the Colossal Drain wasn't an issue. That was a huge checkpoint for me. I remember the first time where I just sort of went, you know, that's not the end of the stream. Maybe should have held back. JK obviously for Jump King, right? But no, I mean, like, I don't know, that's cool to me. It is cool to me to see the difference. And that's, you know, I have not played a lot of games where oh dear, where the actual like skill that you develop, the skills that you acquire are a progression system. I've gotten very used to things that are very numerically based. Well, hey! So it's fun to see that. It's fun to have that experience of, no, I have gotten better. That is how I have improved. So cool. And it's been very fun to have folks along for the journey. Because I will say, I don't know how well I would have done with this game if I was just playing this on my own. Which I think is a very interesting thing for evaluating how I feel about streaming. Because I will say, the couple of times where I've like caught up off stream to where we had been at, a couple of times I did that. I do think I went faster while not streaming because I was not talking to folks. Also, I don't think I ever tried. Okay, yeah, no. I was curious. I hadn't tried. I hadn't seen if that was something where we could shortcut a bit. But while I think I was definitely faster and made fewer mistakes when I wasn't streaming and talking to folks, I think I found myself getting frustrated more easily. Does he have anything different? Royalty visiting my humble boutique? Yes, I am pleased to offer my premium selection to a connoisseur such as yourself. It's a premium selection? Exquisite pair of boots crafted with attention to the finest detail. Okay, so I assume probably the same things. Offer you an exclusive deal of 1 gold, or maybe it's a different set of boots. But, what was I saying? Oh, I found my tolerance, my fuse. Oh, that was not good. My fuse was a lot shorter with myself. And I think it is, you know, one of many things where it's more fun with friends. It's more fun having folks along where you can just be chatting, because it became a very nice thing for just ask me a question. Get my thoughts on X thing, because I can keep jumping, and I'm going to keep learning, but I also get to, you know, learn something interesting about Polish or Napoleonic era wars, or prattle on about my feelings about what's the ethicality of eating people. All conversations we've had. We had a lovely day where we talked about best fish. And that's I think it's been very good for that. I think Jump King has been fantastic, not only as a game, but for cementing that I, as a streamer, enjoy streaming. Crazy concept. I enjoy talking to y'all. I enjoy hearing the thoughts that you have. Well, hey. What? I don't know if I'm entertaining enough to just purely do a talking stream. I think I could probably manage a just talking stream if I developed a couple of bullet points beforehand as like loose things that I can fall back on. And I had an avatar that was more interesting than a lightly animated little ink blob. So if I ever went full VTuber, perhaps. I don't think I even need the gold coin, but it's there, so I feel obligated. I mean, we're already up to Barkenberg, and it hasn't been 10 minutes, which... insane, actually. Boom, boom. But yeah, no. Talking with folks is fun. to do a PowerPoint stream where your Discord sends you PowerPoint you have to present complete. Oh, yes, I have seen some stuff like that. I think that could be very good, particularly. We have some absolute munchkins in chat. I think that could be quite solid. And I do enjoy a good having to maintain a straight face. Because it's one of those things, I think I would enjoy doing, like, some reaction content. I get very squicky about, like, copyright stuff. So, yeah, having to do sort of straight improv presentations, I think would be absolutely fantastic. And right, so that does... Okay, well... we get there. See, I do also remember people were really hyping up this chimney jump of like, oh, this is one of the toughest jumps in the game. It's like, you know, pixel perfect thing. I'm like, I don't know. I find the chimney jump itself pretty easy. It's this jump afterwards that I always screw up on. Man, the PowerPoint suggestion is reminding me of back in the old days. I used to do like theater summer camps. If you can't tell, despite not always being very extroverted, I enjoy making people laugh, and I enjoy performing for folks. Crazy streaming. But yeah, so I would do these like summer theater camps, and one of the games that we would do is called Captain's Coming, and it was essentially we had like prescribed actions to perform that someone would call out, think maybe a little along the lines of like Simon Says, but they were pre-coded, so like I can't even remember all of them, but like hit the deck, you fall, you fall prone. I was trying to remember, is it prone or supine? Because I think there's a lot of times where people mess those up. I believe prone is when you are flat on your chest, whereas supine is when you're flat on your back. But hit the deck was you fall prone. There was also there was something about like look out to sea, prone equals front. Okay, yes. There was something where you had to be like a lookout, and you had to like get 2 other people to be 6 men in a boat. Yes, things like those. Okay, so you had something. You had similar. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember all of the commands, but I remember that one of them was always Captain's Coming. You did theater camps too. Makes sense. But yeah, then they would say Captain's Coming, and you had to stand up at attention and maintain a straight face while whoever was calling things out would do their absolute utmost to make you laugh. And whoever cracked would sort of join them and help in the mischief making. And let me tell you, I may seem like a giggly little ink blob, and I am, but if someone tells me I am not allowed to smile, I will not smile. They could eventually crack me, but typically it was because I was just... I was very frequently amusing myself that I was doing... You know the sort of, like, I'm doing a good job smile? It was very frequently that. But no, I had an absolute blast with those. You can full jump left from the wooden beam across the peddler. So from here, you can go... Oh, interesting. Thank you. I see... Oh my god, that's so... Now that... now that I've actually gone through it once, I feel open to people suggesting how to improve the jumps a little bit. I can learn ways that I could have made my life easier. Thank you. No, I had not known that shortcut, but that makes sense. Wahey. It's funny, chimney jump, I go through phases where I'm either really good at it or just not fantastic. Yeah, I do love... Wahey! I do love maintaining a straight face. There was also... Oh, there was one that was park bench, and I was frequently told what I wasn't allowed to do during it, because I am someone who has, a higher than normal degree of flexibility. I can put my legs behind my head, I can twist my arm around so that it looks like it should break. The great thing about this game is that there's so many of those that it gives replayability, right, where you can find better and better things. Plus, you know, refining your skill more and more, I think, is genuinely a pretty big thing. And also, there's other maps and people who have made custom maps and such. Not a very nice thing to do to my meat puppet. Oh, but the meat puppet enjoys it. Sometimes they're good stretches. Whoa! Okay, we'll take it. Oh, hey! Oh my god, that was salvageable. Hell yeah. But yeah, it was the other meat beings found it very uncomfortable to be on a park bench with someone whose one of their legs was behind their head while having just trying to have a normal conversation. So I was not permitted to use some of my particularly unsettling gifts. I do recall that I started a small trend in one of my shop classes at my school because I legitimately a very typical stretch for me. I don't know how to describe this non-visually, but I'll do my best. Was to take my arm, put my hand directly in front of me, facing away from me, and then twist inwards 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and then 270 degrees, which sort of forces my elbow down. And you know what? It looks horrific, particularly because I'm not the skinniest person, so there's enough arm fat that it's a little difficult to tell the actual orientation that my arm is in. It's a really good stretch though. You can really feel it up through like your biceps, and it's very pleasant. I thought it was a perfectly normal thing to do for the first, like, I don't know, 14 years of my life, somewhere in there, and then one shop class, I was doing this to stretch because I was bored, and I hear the most horrified shriek from behind me. And it was a fairly athletic guy in our class that I had only ever really known as a sort of not the nicest jock. They were absolutely terrified, though. He was so afraid that I had actually broken my arm, and upon demonstrating, no, my arm is fine, this is just a thing I do, he went, I want to try that. And he did, and the first few times were not highly successful, but I'd say after about the fourth attempt, he realized he couldn't get quite the same degree as me, but he could get most of it, and apparently went on to spread that to a number of other folks. So there was a brief period where a number of folks in that class were all just doing probably horrible things to their arm, but you know what? It was comfy to me. Also, realizing, okay, no, we cannot bounce off there, but experimentation. But hey, it's not as bad as when I got milk container openings banned. If you hang to the left side of the left pole by 1 pixel and jump full right, you land it every time. You hang to the left side of the left pole by 1 pixel. So, wait, what? So, we get onto this pole, and we hang on. Oh, see, this is particularly I don't know if you've been around for mentioning this. My left arrow key has been on the fritz recently, so a bit more, yeah. So there are times where it doesn't actually respond to my input, which might have made this a little bit trickier. So doing fine adjustments to the left is a bit tricky. Okay, I'm stopping for a moment so you can tell me more or less. Same with your mine. Some keyboard fights you sometimes. Yeah, it's been very frustrating, but I've been doing well. I probably need to just like shut off my machine and like take, oh god, a little bit more. Okay. Nope. Whoops. Okay. I feel like this is there even a bit more we can go from here? What you do is move back and forth to adjust. Gotcha. Nope. That's I mucked that one up. Ah! Because I guess you do get, like, a little bit of momentum, don't you? Okay, there's definitely more to the left we can go. Get as close and give it a shot? Okay. It doesn't feel like, oh my god, it does. Whoa! Okay. Did not know that. That doesn't feel like it should work, and yet it does. Fantastic. Woohoo! But overall, I think that's one where I've built a good enough muscle memory. Alright, Herr Gutenberg, you must sleep now. Goodbye. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out and being witness to the victory. It has been a delight. Get some good rest, Impact. Well, hey. And this one I know we can do a full jump there. Full jump there. Whoops. Okay. Wait, we didn't splat there. Isn't that... I feel like we should have splatted. I feel cheated. Way. Whoa. It's a climbing we will go. Whoops. Alright, that's fine. 21 minutes. 21 minutes and already back up here. That's been with some ill-advised crow adventures. Yeah. Don't go too far, Johann. And a big jump. And a big jump. Oh, wait, can we... Okay, that gets the crow. Alright. Crow obtained, so now we can actually focus on getting up to the wind. The wind! I do remember getting to, like, the chapel and ice, and suddenly very much missing the wind. Hey, wait a minute. No. That crown? Haha. No, it cannot be! Yes, it is! Take that, NPCs. A replica, I am sure, definitely. You have quite the audacity, posing as the Jump King like that. Well, I will not claim to be the Jump King, because I know I am not the best, but I am proud of it. Windswept Bluff. Okay. We shall wait for the wind to change back to the right. We'll get the crow. I don't even know if I'm going to use the coin, but I don't know, it's there. It feels like something I should do. Ah! It's all okay. Not necessarily the speedrun tack, but... If I can get back up to the chapel in under an hour, particularly doing all of that, man, I am going to be so happy. Hey, Carsey, how's it going? Welcome in! You may notice there's something a little bit different about the Jump King today. I'm a cheater? How so? I put it to you that I have not cheated. What did I do? I jumped to the top. In 52 hours and about 3 minutes. Why are we speedrunning? We aren't speedrunning per se. This is odd. It is odd, is it not? You've started to try to make a game with no coding experience. Biggest mistake of your life? Hey, not at all a mistake. Go for it. As someone with a lot of coding experience, I have barely done anything on a number of games that I've been interested in. So, I say go for it. And hey, if you would like any tips on like some good coding tutorials and whatnot, hit me up on Discord. All because of Jump King? Hell yeah! Awesome. Did I win the game? I did indeed win the game. Which I was honestly startled by. I did not realize just how close I had been the past few days. Yep, I have a crown. And in fairness, Carsey, I am normally up this late. I'm just not active this late. Because for me, this is only like, this is almost 11 p.m. This is funny because you're also up late. Huzzah! Well, basically, I think I'm probably just going to make it back up to the chapel. I don't know if I'll go further. But, yeah, I just kind of want to see, now that we've beaten the game, can we do a quick... Oh hey, thank you for the follow, Joda. Appreciated. You had a whole sleep? It's not late, it's early. Yes, getting ready for school. My god, still school at this time of year. I'm sorry. What's the Discord? Well, hey, wouldn't you know, I actually finally set up Nightbot. I also forgot that I set up chat rules, so I just had to agree to my own ones. Discord. There's the invite. And because time zones, you're up late. Late. Uh-oh. With the fancy text. And that's, I do enjoy that we can have such a variety of time zones and such. But yeah, so, absolutely, I will not claim to be a coding expert, Joda. I have only, I have a comp sci degree, and I have done a fair bit of coding in a number of things. I think I'm reasonably good at understanding things and like to teach stuff, but I am not an expert by any means. Late night Baba is you. This is a good idea. Ooh. Probably not tonight, but I do want to try and do a couple of later, sort of later night streams, because when I am working again, I will probably have to. Literally was going to leave in 10 minutes. Well, it was good. I'm glad that you were able to be here. Meet the map already? I did, finally, about 27 minutes ago. Hey, this is the normal time you get all of the Bob puzzles, all of your ideas. That I very much believe. But yes, we beat it about 27 minutes ago. Thank you. That was, it still has not sunk in. It will probably take kind of chilling after stream for a little bit to fully process that. After 52 hours, I've actually done this. No worries, you've done a few interactive tutorials on C#, but lately you've been working on the sprite work so that you don't feel too overwhelmed. I think that's a great idea, working on different little bits. For me, I have done like a little bit just trying to get some like basic understanding of stuff. I've done some stuff in Unity because I did some like VR projects in that a while back. But art for me is usually the bigger thing. I did do it before 60 hours, which is honestly, yeah, prediction came true. Remember when people thought it would take 100? We did it! We got better! The learning curve improved. Jump King is filled with determination. Yes! Oh, too far. But I mean, like, half an hour to get back up to the windy area. Hot damn. I was saying earlier, thank y'all for hanging out with me while doing this, because, my god, I do not think I would have stayed sane. Well, I'm not sure sane is the right word for it, but I do not think I would have had quite the same degree of determination if it hadn't been fun just chatting with folks and having, well, you know, sometimes C# over... Uh-oh. Sometimes C# overwhelming, so it's a good idea to switch to something else. Sometimes Jump King overwhelming, so hanging out and going, hey, what's a cool fish? Yes, Carsey. I'm not waiting, but... Oh, that was a good way to fall there. That jump where the gargoyles are. You want to begin jumping right the minute the wind is about to shift. That's when it's the weakest. Ah, okay. At least for me, I don't do a full jump there. Or what has worked for me is doing a partial jump, which that might be one of my issues, is that I just sort of learned to try and dial in a very particular bit of muscle memory. For you, this is another 12-hour stream. I can see it. Went to bed with the stream and you wake up, it's still there. Dun dun dun. So you mean to tell me that I can do a 12-hour stream without streaming 12 hours? This seems somewhat appealing. Well, hey. But yeah, I have noticed that the wind has a bit of lag time. So like if I jumped right there, it would not carry me over quite as much. Stream quicker, but only for Carsey. This is true. I would have to figure out a very good, like, I'd have to figure out the time zones and try and work out the exact timetable, and also get lucky with your guys' sleep schedules. But yeah, like there, I know that I wasn't doing a, I didn't wait for, like, the good timing like you had mentioned, but I don't know. That is what has developed well for me. Well, hey. Okay. School day, you have schedule. Now, as someone who also has been to school, just because you have a schedule doesn't mean that you sleep on a good schedule. I'm trying hard not to pay too much attention to the fact that I'm already almost back up to the chapel. Uh-oh. Okay, wait for the wind to change. You know I will be awake at this time? This is true. Okay. This is... I have not had a huge amount of practice on this, so I'm still a little weak, but I think this should be fine. There we go! And chapel achieved. Holy... Okay, well, I think we can try a little. I think we can try a little further. And in the weekends, well, no stream. And that will probably change. Currently not, but I figure that when I get a job, it will probably be a lot of streaming around this time, during the weekdays, probably like 2 or 3 times a week, and then like once on the weekend at what my current normal time is. It's probably what it will look like. Don't know for sure though. You actually have no sleep schedule. Like, actually, you have a sleep moment of time, I guess? No matter when you go to sleep, you will sleep for 7 hours. And it is fixed. Interesting. As I have noticed, so... Again, sleep is something I've done a reasonable amount of research into, but it's a complicated topic with a lot of info out there. Forgot how much you have... Oh, hate Twitch Mobile. Wasn't there a recent bad update to it? Words. Like, you're, generally speaking, the, like, exact amount of time you sleep is not usually indicative of how rested you get. Also hate the new bit thing. Oh dear, I'm unfamiliar. It's usually based on how many REM cycles you manage to get. That one, figuring out that you can kind of slide up that, I was having so much trouble with that, and that was kind of the hardest jump to me, so practicing that is good, with the channel points. Wait, huh? Bit thing with channel points. You can tell I'm great as a streamer, not a clue in the world. But I found that for me, my REM cycle is 2.5 hours. I can tell very, very easily. You actually set a timer one time, and after subtracting some minutes for actually getting into bed, and the timer counted for 7 hours and 1 minute. So, like, it's actually 7 hours. Damn! Chose bits instead of channel points. But it's not donating bits, is it? Or are channel points... No, no. Twitch would not do that. It is? So, channel points are being converted into actual, like, donation for the streamer? There are power-ups. What the hell? No. Oh, okay. Then I am still confusion. But man, exactly 7 hours is particularly strange because I wonder, the typical human REM cycle can be as low as like 2 hours and as much as 4 hours, so I wonder if what's happened, and you typically need like 2 to 3 REM cycles to feel well rested. So I wonder, Pug, only 34 minutes? Yeah, to get to the tower, I mean, we still, we can still muck up the tower a fair bit, but, I wonder, Pug, if you are feeling rested after 2 REM cycles of 3.5 hours. Like, almost on the dot, I wonder. Which would be very interesting. 100 times improvement, yeah. No, that's, if we make this in 50, well, no, I'm not sure it's 100 times, but if we make this in 52 minutes, that would be exactly 60 times faster. Or, you know, give or take a few seconds. But, damn. If you have bits, you can redeem power-ups. I guess I don't know what power-ups are. Gaslighting? Hmm. Jumpy, jumpy. Jumpy, jumpy. Jumpy, jumpy. Big jumpy. What gaslighting? You know, the gaslighting. You know, okay, here's the thing. I've not... What is the etymology of the term gaslighting? Because I don't see how that would relate to the actual act of lighting a gas lamp. Power-ups are like channel point redeems, but for bits. Check Tim's chat after stream. Okay. And yes, I will investigate. I wish that you could enable things like bits and whatnot, without ads, but I understand why you cannot. Twitch needs to make their money, because genuinely, it's an expensive service. When there's a gas leak, you feel loopy and susceptible to manipulation. Oh, okay. I can see that, I suppose. Or are you gaslighting me about the etymology? But no, it's... For me, when I hear the term gaslight, I think of, you know, Victorian children on the streets. In your opinion, it's just Twitch being greedy? Well, I will need to look at it to fully understand. At least that's what you think. I mean, I can see it. Instead of your channel points, you see a whole 0 bits. Wait, so does it replace the ability to use channel points for things, or... I mean, you need to click to see your channel points. Okay. Google Chrome says, the term gaslighting comes from the 1938 British play called Gaslight, where the play is about gaslighting. Ah. Now, is that Google results say that, or Google AI? Just replaces the icon. Okay. When you slide around, jump in the opposite direction you're sliding from. I have heard this. I don't trust my reflexes enough with that, but I'm doing pretty good by just walking in the opposite direction, so I think that's mostly alright. Gonna go to school? Alright! Enjoy! Go learn good things, Carsey! And thank you for hanging out! Google result, not AI? Good, yeah. The thing is, I hate that I used to actually enjoy the, like, little summary that Google would put together at the top, because I could at least go check the source that I was pulling from, and it was a good, like, oh, you know, quick search is saying this while I'm thumbing through it, but now it's just like, for all I know, it's saying that, you know, Gophers ruled the world in 1982, and it's like, look, man, I don't think that's right. You're hungry. Stay in, Johan? Yes, stay in school. I am considering whether or not to get a master's degree, so... Hey! Not a doctorate. Never a doctorate. I have a lot of respect for people who do. I.e. personal plague, although... It's funny, I have a lot of respect for people who are willing to sit through getting a doctorate, but I tend to not have a lot of respect for PhD folks. Fare thee well! Good luck! Johannesburg. And that's more... I've met plenty of nice people who have a PhD. I've just also met a lot of people who have a PhD and are very insistent that you're aware of it and treat them differently because of it, and have still not... Having a PhD does not make you a more intelligent person. It represents that you have had more education. If you happen to also be a fairly intelligent person who has done a lot with that education, great. Absolutely, huge respect for you. And I respect the work you put in. But it is still a certificate for you showed up and did the thing. I.e., during my competitive robotics, had a PhD person mentoring us who was fantastic, and I want to be very clear, no disrespect to this man. He was He was putting in a lot of hours each week to show up and supervise us and legitimately teach us some good things about how to use some of the machining equipment and provide some great insight. This was also a man who was convinced that you can, in fact, push a rope and have it be productive after, like, 3 years of us making a rope-pushing mechanism that we realized had to essentially pull the rope out of a point to not just make it crimp. So, and he was someone who was very, if you don't have a PhD, whereas we had some other folks that were willing to just try stuff and got it. Humility befits the accomplished, yes. Now that I know where gaslighting comes from, I now have realized that Baba's used skull housing has a similar origin, a level play using and mechanic action, causing the term to become popular, and it being used as a verb to describe the mechanic action. That happens quite a bit. During, like, Magic streams. I think that's part of why Magic is a little tough to, like, get into in some ways, because there's a lot of terms like that. The term milling is used to describe putting cards from your deck directly into your graveyard. You know, it's basically getting rid of them. And that comes from a card called Millstone, which performed that action from very early on in the game. It's not a play, but it's, you know, it's a thing that then becomes verbed. Not quite. See, when you stream later, you get to see your extra chaotic thoughts, which is fantastic, and I enjoy. It's just also, for me, late night is usually also when I have some of my most, like, productivity and such, which is fun to stream. It's fun to stream during, but it's also when I'm like, hey, I should probably be, like, trawling housing sites and doing art and things like that. Hey, back to the tower. Well, hey. But yeah, no, language is a very interesting thing, and I think descriptivism is fantastic. I do not have the Jordans. I have intentionally taken off the Jordans, because we beat it once with them, and I do not like how they look. Getting closer to those 50 minutes, I know. Also, welcome in, Pitta. We beat this for the first time 43 minutes ago, about. Did they in fact make the ice section easier? They certainly, I think they did add a little bit more grippiness, but not enough for me to accept the crime against fashion. Okay. I say as someone who is admittedly not very fashionable. Oh my god. No! Okay. Ugh. It's okay, we're just falling all the way back down. Okay. Wait. Oh, yo! Well, that's an experience we didn't get the first time. The violin kept going for a bit. Talking about words that have similar creations but are not related in any other way. Scooby-Doo and Skibbity Toilet. Yeah, I know that's cursed, but it's names of characters that come from a sound made in a song? I suppose, yeah. Yep. Practice begets mastery. Very, very true. And as someone who has already been practicing for almost 53 hours. But no, that was interesting that the violin kept going, and that's, I think I was mentioning this a little bit of, I really enjoy in games when the sound design does a really good job of, like, blending things. It was incorrect. I thought that they were blending, or having the soundtrack of the tower transition a little bit when you got to a higher phase, which was not, in fact, the case. But I think that's a very, very useful tool in the toolbox of game designers. Okay. Back. Oh god. Oh, come on, left arrow key. Don't do this to me now. Don't stop me now. We're having such a good time. That does not blend well with the very epic music. We love you, Freddie Mercury, but I suppose not now. Well, hey. Oh, I thought I was gonna hit my head there, and I backed out of that too soon. Okay. Oh my god. Holy... Oh my god. That... Talk about a difference. We went from 53 hours to... That was, what, like, not even... Yeah, that was like 45 minutes. Holy... Okay. Oh. Okay. That feels pretty freaking fantastic. We're probably gonna call it there, because I need to process this, but... Damn! Oh, that's so sick! We're about to see the superior end screen, alright. That seems like a good place to wrap it. This has been fantastic. I'm sorry, I know this is probably awkward for Pug and such folks that were sort of just coming in, but I was planning on doing this until we beat it once, and then that took an hour. So, we've gone twice. Damn! That's so impressive to me. Want to play another game? Not tonight, but we've got some stuff, and I can sense the Celeste coming down the pipeline. But this I need to figure out what we're gonna replace this with in the morning. That's when you know you've improved. Yeah, no, I mean that was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is a huge amount. But yeah, no, we've got a number of options that we'll be looking at, and we might also, instead of Baba, do some Lingo tomorrow. What to replace the brutal platformer game with. It might be a difficult game about climbing, but we will see. I need to think and look at some of my options because we've got some new ones. There we go. Love the thumbs up, big buff burly knight boy. Okay, now that we have the crown, I get Jump King, but come on, we're a knight. I will still die on this hill. We are a jump knight, not a jump king. Art style is way more detailed. Yes. Especially with certain assets. You are to become king, but then wouldn't it be jump prince or jump lord? I'm just saying. But that's... Genuinely. Thank you guys for hanging out so much with this. I mean, this is goofy. I think that was an improvement. Well, not by which side. Okay. Jump Lord has a nice ring, doesn't it? But no, I mean, why not have jump dukes and whatnot? If we have an entire kingdom based on jumping, that's a merit-based thing. I think there should be a whole hierarchy. But yeah, like, just taking a genuine moment. So, second time we beat it in one stream, although there was a lot more legwork for one. Now we await the sequel. And other maps, which we might also try. I think I will be taking quite a long break from Jump King. Because Lord knows we've done enough. But I mean, that is... Thank you guys. I'm just... Also just like thinking about where I started with it compared to now, because I remember feeling like kind of embarrassed streaming this early on, because I was not good at this game. And you know, that was also, I started streaming this around the time that we had a lot more folks trickling in, so it was kind of like being very awkward and gangly when showing up as the new kid to a school. But you guys have been fantastic and supportive, talking about just interesting stuff and keeping me on the straight and narrow while playing it, and I've had a great time. It seems like you guys have had a pretty good time, so thank you. This has been genuinely... Jump King has been a very impactful experience for me, and I am going to have very fond memories of it, and hopefully revisit it more in the future, but yes. We are going to have a nice long break from it. The sequel have multiplayer? Yo! That sounds... I don't even... Oh, I don't know if that's going to be awesome or just going to have me feel like I'm getting dunked on all the time. Wait, what, Pug? Concern. What are you going to do in the start of streams now? I need to figure that out. So, well, God, 45 minutes, 2 seconds. Damn. So we can talk through that a little bit. I'm probably going to sleep on it. But so I do have an influx of some new games. So I feel like one of the ones that's like most natural to replace that is... Hold on, 3 hours of Baba? Oh god. Well, let's. We will probably do some lingo. Bob again. Baba is a rough one in the mornings. I definitely want to try lingo tomorrow. I think that would be a good time. To give that a shot. But I think that's sort of in a like similar space to Baba. Um, a difficult game about climbing, I think, might be a decent sort of one to be working on. Chance of Sonar, I don't know how intensive it's going to be. I'm like vaguely aware of it, but it's ultimately I just kind of I like in the morning something where I'm not having to think too hard about it, which I think needs to either be something like a platformer or Jump King or something that's something that isn't like actually, I don't know. Basically, not like a super intensive puzzle games. We're going to do some interactive tutorial modules. Have a good night. Well done on doing the round trip of this game. Thank you very much, Joda. Best of luck with those modules. Get some good rest, and yeah, hit me up. I cannot promise super responsiveness since I do Discord for Johan on a secondary account, so it doesn't ping me directly. But when I sign on, I will try and keep an eye out for stuff, and I enjoy finding resources for people. So absolutely hit me up with stuff. Um, and have a fantastic rest of your evening. Um, but yeah, I think things where I can either like read out a lot of narrative, so I'm not having to think about it as much, or something where it is just sort of like it's slowly developing a skill. I think are sort of good morning style games. Um, I don't know. I know that Rain World has lore, but might be might be decent. One Shot and Outer Wilds I have no clue about, and I'm scared to look at anything for either one really. Slay the Princess could also be okay. I don't know. Yeah, we will think about it. Thoughts will be had, and I will have something lined up. There's also I might do magic at some point. Probably not a whole lot, but I when Bloomborough comes back, I will probably be doing some stuff. Outer One Shot and Outer Wilds, two very different games. Let's I have been told that I will love Outer Wilds, and I am completely forbidden from looking up anything by the friend who got it for me because I will be murdered. So no no hints, nothing, none whatsoever. Um but yeah, so I will think about stuff. We will see. But thank you all. This has been a fantastic time. I'm One Shot mentioned again. Yes. Um but yeah, this has been fantastic. I'm not going to process this anytime soon, to be perfectly honest, but oh, what a journey. Thank you all for hanging out. I am going to go get some rest, maybe have some ill-advised extra dessert. Oh, I should make candied pecans. Don't worry about it. It's been good. Thank you all. And I will get some rest and hopefully see you all in the morning with whatever we do in the morning. Have a fantastic rest of your evenings, but for now, I must bid you adieu. Mm, bye.